Hello, my name is Parker.
My name is Ned.
And this is the Force Unlimited, yet another Star Wars Unlimited podcast. This is episode number 45. We are recording on October 26th. We still haven't heard if Baton is getting to design a card for winning the Galactic Championships. Tonight's beer is the Basic Rights beer out of Double Mountain. This is a lot of 7% ABV, so we're going to try to get through this episode before I go off the rails.
Old choice, I will say. 7% ABV right before recording.
Yeah, tall boy. No, not right before. Wow, we're going to watch it happen. We're just going to watch it. It's been a weekend. We will talk about the match we just played when we get to it, because, dear listener, tonight is our thrice annual vow renewal episode. And before you bail out, YouTube listeners who I watch listen to the topic and then run, we have some spicy stuff on the back end. We have actual opinions as opposed to pure hype. But if you haven't done this with us before, we're going to cover the four leaders that the old wedding, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, and we will talk about leaders that match each of that. But before we do that, all of Sectors of Secrets of Power has been previewed, and as is tradition, it is what now is referred to as tier list season. I don't know anything, but Ned, who came in 23rd at the Portland Sectors, knows a thing or two. So I asked him to put together, based on our experiences, his tier list. So Ned, you told me you have a tier list for me.
Oh, yeah, no. So this was heavily influenced by our experience at Galactics.
Okay.
So I want to draw your attention here. I've obviously got the Crunchwrap Supreme as S tier, along with the Chalupa Supreme. And the new addition, the spicy new addition, is the Cantina Chicken Crispy Taco.
You feel that's S tier, Ned?
It's amazing.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm shutting the bit down now. That we're not going to do tier list, folks. That's not us. No, we are just going to talk about decks we are hyped about that we are leaders in Secrets of Power. So we each have an old leader. Speaking of Crunchwrap Supremes, Ned, who is your old leader that you are very excited to revisit in Secrets of Power?
My goodness, Parker, it is the Crunchwrap Supreme of Leaders, GI. So you may be aware that there is a 2-card combo that has been previewed with GI. I guess it's technically a 3-card combo, but one of them's your leader, with Darth Treya and the Tragedy of Plagueis. So given that it requires a red villainy leader, a yellow villainy card, and a blue villainy card, it's really difficult to pull off in a non-Twin Suns format, and in Twin Suns it's difficult to pull off because singleton. Sure. But I think that honestly using it in yellow makes more sense than using it in blue. In blue, you didn't really get a lot for GI. Like there's.
So you're suggesting that for the truest Johnny Jennies among us, it behooves you to run your classic leader with 3 colors just to get the combo as a moonshot, essentially.
Basically you run 2 copies of Tragedy of Plagueis. The plan is that you're...
So I'd like to point out, as we found through extensive interviews and gathering info and meeting fans, 85% of our listener base is tuned in, is over tuned in. Like, should, dear listener, for your own mental health, listen to less SWU content. But about 15% actually are like crazy casual and only listen to us because of the chance of statistical analysis. So what is this combo, Ned?
So, Darth Treya is a card that has been spoiled, and Darth Treya has the ability. She is a 2/5 for 3 in yellow villainy, and on attack, you may ready a non-unit leader. So basically, you get to use your leader ability again.
That, I think, is the first time we've seen a reference to a non-unit leader.
Yeah, other than just like also a non-unit leader counts. Right.
But specifically calling out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you combine that with Grand Inquisitor has the ability to exhaust the Grand Inquisitor to deal 2 damage to a friendly unit with power 3 or less, and then ready it. So you can attack with Treya, and then untap the Grand Inquisitor, and then use the ready the Grand Inquisitor, and then use the Grand Inquisitor to ready Treya, who can then attack again. And you could continue on your merry way for an infinite number of attacks, except for the fact that Treya has 5 hit points, so you can do it twice. However, the card that was previously spoiled in a prior set, Tragedy of Plagueis, is a 5-cost blue villainy event that says choose a friendly unit for this phase. It cannot be defeated by having no remaining HP. An opponent chooses a unit they control, defeat that unit. So if you control GI as a non-unit leader, you have Treya out and you play Tragedy of Plagueis on Treya, you can attack an arbitrarily large but finite number of times with Treya, which is normally enough to kill your opponent.
Right. Countably infinite, as you taught my son.
Yes.
So
yes. Countably infinite number of times.
So essentially the combo is, and this is for, this is not an unstoppable combo, but so the combo is you have Darth Treya out at 7 resources, and then you play the Tragedy of Plagueis out of aspect for 7.
So yes, so this is the way if you're running it in GI yellow. If you're running it in GI blue, you can do it on 5, where you play Treya. Well,
Sure.
technically it's 6. Yeah, you would play Treya, and you could try and do some things to set up Treya, and you could try and do some things to set this up early. But I think going all in on the combo is not.
No, you want a functional deck that occasionally just gets to win.
Has combo finish,
Yeah.
right? And given that GI is already kind of a aggro combo deck, where you're playing heavily into the Thralls of the Coven / Clan Challengers, where previously you're able to do a pretty substantial amount of damage on the 5 or 6 resource turn, basically out of nowhere, if your opponent isn't prepared. Having that combo together means that your opponent is being forced to have answers for a variety of things. And then if they answer the combo, you can come back on a future turn, and if you can like Treya into a relatively open board, you can claim and Plagueis.
How?
Yeah.
I mean, this is essentially a 2-card cost.
Yes.
To the deck.
Yeah.
Do you how? I mean, is this a deck that is still, do you think, worth running in the and when Secrets drops, that you just happen to occasionally get to pull the I win infinite combo?
I mean, I think that there's enough new cards that are spoiled that are just good, and GI Yellow has been on like the fringe of playability for a while. Specifically, things that are really good. General Grievous is a 3/3 with hidden for 2. It does have the disadvantage when it's attacked; it returns to the owner's hand. But if you're playing GI, you can play them on 2, ready Grievous, and then immediately get an attack off with Grievous.
And if they run, then they just
fine. Yeah, I mean, it's no worse than any of your other cards, and it goes back to your hand. Right? Most of the time, when your cards are attacked, then they die.
Right.
And this is a more elaborate version of dying, except that sometimes you get the card back. Cyril Karn is quite good, and a 2/3 lets you attack in. Garindan lets you snipe cards out of your opponent's hand, and you can plot it. Sintakaz, whenever you're playing a 6-cost leader that has aggression, Sintakaz is at least a consideration.
No, I at this point, I feel like Sinta is in every red deck.
Yeah.
Is it every red deck that's at 6+ cost flip, just because.
Yeah.
It's
a good card. Yeah, it's a good action compression card.
I think Sinta. I don't think Sinta is busted. I think Sinta is not busted in the way Force Throw is not busted, where it's not necessarily a busted card, but it's just such an easy auto include. I mean, a 5/5 that does something when it enters for 6. If you want your leader to attack, that's good stuff. And the action compression is fantastic.
Yep.
So.
And then finally, Aggressive Negotiations is another. If you're playing a villainy deck that's attempting to rush your opponent down, especially a deck like GI, where frequently you will end up kind of choked up on cards, and you will have more cards in your hand than resources to play them, being able to turn them into damage with Aggressive Negotiations. You know, is this deck going to burn the world down? No. Is this deck going to steal games off of your opponents, particularly when they're not prepared? Yes.
I think a deck that has the first infinite combo, if it the bar is, I mean, for certain people the bar is literally, you've already met the bar by virtue of having an infinite combo. But if the deck can do respectable, like 35 to 40% win rate at your locals, I think for a week or two, just getting to roll up and say, and then I win.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess it can be stopped with, you know, any number of like takedown or any kind of direct removal.
Anything that just destroys the unit, any minus X effects don't work because it still will have remaining hit points.
Right.
Or, you know, it will still have no remaining hit points, but that still counts.
Right. So
Um,
yeah, no,
yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yep.
I don't look forward to playing against it, but I'm excited. My something old
Yes.
is Piet Red, and
Okay.
I am. I think I don't know if he's back, but the deck was always kind of nice. I've been toying with a droid version outline. I mean, the whole thing that Piet relies on is Gonk droid. Uh, the Gonk droid is such a beautiful opening for Piet. 2 cost, 1/3. Next unit you play, you can next unit you play reduces by 1. The absolutely delightful combo is what's I blanking on the name of the invisible hand. So the most fun combo is because Gonk Droid reduces by 1 on turn 2, and then Piet reduces by 1 on turn 2. You can forget trying to get your super laser tech to go off. That is a 5 cost that you can drop on turn 2, which is a 5 cost capital ship. And you run 1 or 2 of those. But then the real beauty
Right.
is that the invisible hand, crawling with droids, can exploit the Gonk droid. And then, so now you've got a really nice 6/6 in space on turn 2 that has a very reasonable chance of replacing the Gonk droid, or playing any number of drawing you other droids. So getting out HK, there's a number of droids in the deck that just, because that's even better than just getting a 5 cost, is getting a 6 cost out that will continue to draw cards for you if not answered. And very rarely do people have an answer on turn 2 for a 6 cost in space. Now, you're not going to get the Gonk droid every opening hand, even if you mulligan hard for it. You're not going to always have the card you're looking for to, do it. So it runs basically the same Piet plan, which has always been kind of fun. With the other big new addition is Fulminatrix. Fulminatrix, if you can get that out a little bit early, that's a 9 cost that on attack and when played deals 4 damage to a ground unit. So that capital ship can really lock, it solves one of the problems that if you're racing against some, if you're against aggro on the ground, it can be hard for Piet to, even if they turn the corner, to stabilize. But with Fulminatrix, you can forget, you've already used some of your overwhelming barrage, underwhelming barrage, answers to kind of try to stall. But then Fulminatrix really lets you kind of lock the game down if they don't have. I mean, if you're swinging for 9 and they don't have an answer for it, you're winning anyway. But that was always Piet's problem, was that he was about to win,
Line
but
with the race.
yeah. And so to stall them just a little bit more. So the real big new plays are Gonk into Invisible Hand plus Fulminatrix. I would say there's not much else here that's like super exciting, and there's nothing else here that's from Secrets of Power. But Piet was so close to being, again, he was always playable. He was so close to being competitively a dark horse, where like you weren't laughed at for bringing him to a major event, and he didn't quite cross that line. I'm very optimistic that this is, is enough to get him across the line. I don't know if the droids variant is the one, but I mean Gonk is great anyway with him, just because there's so much you can do. But I'm real pumped to try him out again. Probably a moth to a flame, probably going to get burned again, but we'll come back to that. So let's talk about a new leader we are excited about. Ned, who's your new leader that we are excited about?
Luthen. Luthen is basically everything that I like in a leader, where it has an ability that doesn't cost resources, that rewards you for doing things that you would probably already be doing.
Does he?
And kind of, yeah.
Does a red hero aggro deck want to be trading?
That is the question. And for me, the answer is yes, but this is also why I'm not good at playing red hero aggro. But if you're running Luthen with ECL, there are a huge number of cards that suddenly get turned better. So ECL in Hero Red in an aggro E shell already is just amazing because you can always, you know, just ambush out a wrecker and absolutely blow somebody's face apart. But K2SO plays really nicely with Luthen. Um, Karis Nemec is probably going to be a card that you will hate seeing, and it will show up in basically every red hero aggro deck because a 3/2 with hidden that dies into a spy is a
Into
real
a
good card.
ready spy.
A ready spy is a real good card.
Yeah.
And then Luthen's Hallcraft, it's not amazing, but if you're able to timely intervention it out, or if you have to ECL it out, being able to knock two cards out of your opponent's hand, assuming that you can sculpt your hand reasonably well, is quite good. And then Valiant Commando is tailor built for this. If you, heroic sacrifice a Valiant Commando, you're dealing 8 points of damage essentially out of nowhere. 9 with Luthen's ability, 10 if they're deployed, and drawing a card. So yeah. um, but it is kind of doing the thing where it's acting a counter purpose to itself. Where a lot of times you don't want to have to trade your units into their units, but that's
Yeah,
exactly
I have to wonder if there's a if
yeah.
the Luthen shell seems very aggro, but I have to wonder if the Luthen shell makes more sense,
In like a control list. Yeah.
or just a mid range. I wonder uh, post rotation if he takes the place of Han 2 green, where
Mm,
instead of doing
yeah.
two to your own guys, you're doing two to theirs, where you're just
Right.
essentially trying to stall the game by playing red green hero good stuff and getting that ping for. I mean, you are a red green hero deck generally just wants to play better value and trade, and you're rewarded for that trade by being even better at it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll
And
we'll,
that
we'll
also
we're gonna
Luthen's
sneak back.
fine.
No
Yeah.
spoilers to Luthen ECL. My
You
new
certainly will.
deck originally was Dryden Blue, which is I think I love Dryden. I think that's such a fun ability. Giving stuff ambush. Who doesn't love giving stuff ambush? Pains me a little be discarding heavy, expensive cards, but just securing that early win. I played it very briefly, and I was reminded of our conversation in the last episode where Ned and I talked about linear decks. And Dryden is
Yes.
not a linear deck. Dryden
No.
is the classic green villain blue shell that I fall trap that I fall into again and again and again, which is really requires you to know what your opponent is playing, really requires you to play around what your opponent is playing, really requires you to just think through different lines that can be completely different, wildly swingy sideboards. And I was just like, I'm going to be terrible at this. I don't want to do this. So, one of the two leaders I've been two decks I've been maining since we got the complete set of Secrets of Power is Dedra, and I really want there to be a mid-range Dedra shell just because I like mid-range. I'm really afraid that the Dedra deck that becomes is the best Dedra deck is a blue control deck where
Mm,
do two or draw one in a red blue villainy control deck that's great. Like
yeah.
having tons of cards can be useful, but there is right now people are cooking with. I have a list of an aggro list that just really just runs kind of. I mean, how you would expect it to, where you're just clearing out things when because when you're running a real strong aggro list, a common the two things you're going to run problems you run into when you're running a go face deck is your opponent because you're going face and they're trading, they get to pick the optimal trade, so they're inevitably picking trades where their unit is left with 1 or 2 hit points.
Yep.
And the other problem you run into is running out of gas. You've played all your cards, and you can't get more. And Dedra allows you to essentially solve both those problems. Every single turn, you are solving one of those two problems. You are either mopping up a trade that was inefficient on your end, or you're getting more gas. And the deck blitzes. It goes fast. It's I any deck that's going to run intro battle Hoth cards, I'm here for. So it runs the Hoth Lieutenant, just because right now that's the lieutenants are all the lieutenant effect, which I guess we can call it, is
Yeah.
a good effect.
Yeah.
And the Hoth Lieutenant isn't qualified the way a lot of the other ones are. It's just attack with a unit.
Yep.
And yeah, it's not a complicated deck. It's a fun deck. Aggro's not my style, but I'm really pushing myself to just have lines with a deck that is easily playable without having to spend a ton of time playing it. I mean, to be great, you have to play it, but to be competent, you just have to know what cards are in your deck. You don't have to know what cards are in your opponent's deck. And
Twice the Pride with Scimitar is quite the combo.
yeah, no, exactly. There's a lot of the cards. So many of the cards in the Dead list, I think, kind of feed into each other. Of their synergy is the word you're looking for, Ned. Where it's not like
Yes.
there's these two card combos the way your GI yellow deck has, but rather there's just a lot of cards that anytime you see it, there's a high likelihood
Just
it
going
will
up.
play well
Yeah.
with something else in your deck. It's not my way of playing. Dedra, by the way, loves aggressive negotiations. She's drawing all those cards in aggressive negotiations. So I regularly am hitting for 5 with aggressive negotiations, and 3 for 5 to face is like that's good. I got once for 8. I still lost that game because if you have 8 as Dedra, things are going poorly.
Yeah.
And I was playing against a deck that we will talk about momentarily. Ned, whose deck did you borrow?
I borrowed from Horse Throw a Devastator, Price Green. So this is something that I had been kind of independently cooking, but they had some really clever card uh, integrations. And speaking of synergies, this is a deck that is kind of going all in on the synergy. The particular synergy in this case is Governor Price and basically anything that poops out a huge number of tokens. Most notably, I Am the Senate and Scramble Fighters.
So essentially, the combo that you identified in our linear discussion last
Yes.
episode. Okay.
But other cards that I had not considered, but I am now considering, and I think that they make the deck better, and that's why I'm crediting them. Crucible, Centuries of Wisdom, is a 6 cost 5/5 that throws experience on everything. So sometimes you're not able to like go combo, and this lets you make your stuff a little bit more resilient. Um, and then also, just in general, Kraken is a card that I had overlooked, but is fine. Works good, and ISB Shuttle frequently is able to pull off like a really nice 2-for-1 kind of an interaction.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm really I want you to play that deck against me at some point, Ned, because I really want to see how that plays out. Although I'll be interested to see because I think Rex Unity of Purpose is actually a little more viable in this set, and you are already pretty heavily invested. So of the two, I'm going to make a bunch of poopers to quote you, Ned, and make them
yep,
big. I am very curious
yep,
to see which deck you run with. So my borrowed list is courtesy of John Tata of Underwhelming Barrage, aka Professor Numpty, who has shared a Ray Figure of Unity deck, a Ray Data Vault deck. I love this deck. This deck is my play style to a T, and the play style is just the play style that Ray Data Vault always has been, which is drop a bunch of big butts and just grind out your opponent. But she got some amazing tools this set. Actually, something that you don't usually see, like you wouldn't think is a huge winner, but the Populist Senator, for a 1 cost, like a non-unique, the Populist Advisor rather,
yeah.
he, I love him. I mean, dropping 2, I mean, it's such a great ability against aggro
Oh man, oh boy, when you U-wing reinforcemented into like five
Oh
cards.
yeah, so the matchup we played was Luthen versus Rey, and I had a delightful unity U-wing reinforcements of two populous advisors and a Queen Amidala, who is another heavyweight in this deck. I mean, like Queen Amidala is
Yeah,
just a great legend in a wide variety of decks. If you're running any number of advisors, but the Ray Data Vault, like you have quite a few good Senator Chuchi uh, into Mini. Like there's just so many officials that you can sack to keep Queen Amidala around, which I think is fitting.
yeah,
I like the theme, or it just one of those mildly interesting elements that Padme has always been kind of weak. Like
hmm
I mean maybe this Secrets of Power leader really does works wonders, but like Padme Amidala, we've seen her now thrice, and I've never been wowed by any of them. And while I think people are trying to cook with Padme leader, she's a special rarity leader, and
yeah,
we've yet to see a good one, since Spark. I mean,
yeah,
maybe Odd Han and Boba have
yeah,
like had moments, but like I'm not optimistic about Padme. But so when she's finally good in the set where we have Kiera Knightley Sabe, who is also Queen Amidala, we get a Queen
yes,
Amidala who is very good. But yeah, no, this deck just slaps. She got just enough tools. It's all huge butts in the beginning, lots of just an insane amount of restore.
yeah.
Um,
No, I mean that I got you free to 25 frequently and could not cross the finish line, and you just have the standard blue-green hero top end that is an insane slog to slog through.
yeah.
About okay, home one to bring something back, U-wing to bring back a whole bunch of things. You kill something, oh, it's Luke to kill your thing.
You
I've got
actually
a
solved it really quickly, but Figure of Unity,
yeah,
like, oh man, it is such a difficult card to get to fire, but it's a
yeah,
3 cost that absolutely demands an answer. Um, my favorite thing to do with it is stick it on Bright Hope in a match that's primarily in the ground because nothing's happening. You're happy to give more HP to Bright Hope. But I mean, Figure of Unity does work.
oh,
And yeah,
yeah,
I love everything about this deck. I remember back during Spark, my very first showdown, I was running Krennic, and I went up against a Leia red deck, and this guy put 59 damage on my base and lost. And if you've ever wanted to watch somebody like that broke, I watched that person break. Like I broke a human that day. Uh, and I've wanted that feeling ever since. I've wanted to go back to that day, back to that place, and this deck is that regularly. Even when you lose, they've like the exhaustion of watching someone put 45, 50 HP on your bases.
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yep.
This deck is yeah. In case you didn't win, I took Ned 2 games, but again, it's a tough deck for Ned or for Luthen, just because Luthen wants to do
At
two
least, at
damage.
least the lucid build that I have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going with the
It,
Emperor plan. Yeah.
it could absolutely be dealt with or played around, but Ray's already running big butts that want to slowly trade. So somebody who wants to trade into them is the 2 damage. I think is not. You're already feeding into the game plan of like, please
Yeah.
trade your units into mine slowly so that I can just restore a little at a time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I'm addicted to this deck. So that's our borrow list. Now, um, before so now we're going to talk about we traditionally talk about blue
Yes.
leaders, and traditionally this is our 4th time we've done this. Traditionally, uh, I reveal that secretly all of my lists have been blue leader lists, and that I'm super pumped to run a bunch of the blue leaders in the set. And dear listener, as a huge reversal, I don't care. About I mean, I'm hyped for Secrets of Power maybe more than most. Hyped post rotation. There's a lot of cool leaders that I'm excited to try pre rotation.
Yeah,
None of the blue leaders speak to me at all. And I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're not competitive. I'm not saying they're not
yeah,
thematic. I'm not saying they're not interesting. I'm just saying I feel that none of them even like there's zero
yeah.
excitement for me. You've got Palp, um, who
It's
is fine. I think
yeah,
he's. I could be wrong. I think he's probably bad just because plot. I think will probably end up being similar to Smuggle, and that there'll be 5, maybe 10 cards that are just absolutely clutch and appear
yep,
in a wide variety of decks because they didn't properly cost him plot. But at the end of the day, whatever Ned's math eventually shows, plot has to cost something,
yes,
right? Um, and more than 0. Putting plot on a card costs something. And
yeah.
so you were playing.
In
So it's
terms of like the
right.
stat budget.
Yeah, the stat budget.
Yeah,
How much does ambush cost? How much does restore cost? Is there plot is a keyword? It's going to cost something. So Palp essentially lets you on the front side draw cards that cost too much. Um, and then yes, he has a beautiful flip turn, right? Like sure,
yes,
like he's a 6/8 for 7 who will get to play an extra 3. That action compression is going to be disgusting turns, but Blue Villainy is not short on disgusting flip turns.
Kylo. Jeez.
Right,
Yeah, yeah,
Kylo, Kira, like that's their
yeah.
thing. Jabba, I think of all the decks is probably the one most likely to be competitively viable, interesting.
I tried to build a Java list, and I just like it fall there is this trap that one kind of falls into when one builds more controlling decks, and you have in your brain this idea that I'm going to be facing against another mid-range deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a mid-range deck that's a little bit slower and gets a little bit more value, and I have all these fun synergies, and I'm going to get like so it's going to be so great. And then the instant you face anything that's not like another mid-range value pile, it falls apart because like what are you doing? You're not answering aggro. Like Java is not answering aggro in a reasonable way
Right.
early on, and later on maybe sure, but if you can answer aggro late, that's not hyper viable, and then you're just completely dead to control. Like
Yeah.
you're
That
yeah,
hoop on his front side just is like, oh man, okay. Maybe that we'll see cards in the future where like a unit dealing damage is really clutch and important, but I'm sure there's reasons to play him. I'm sure people are going to cook. He
yeah,
again,
sure, yeah, no.
he just
Like,
doesn't
and the
speak to
backside's
me.
cool.
Yeah, the
The
backside
backside's cool. Yeah,
offers a great
yeah,
like yep, like
yeah,
you can build, Blue Villainy going to have some big butts, so um you get to survive and a 2/8 that flips on turn 4 is going to be hard to answer immediately, especially if he's plotting out some stuff and some upgrades. I don't know. It just
yeah,
doesn't wow me. Speaking of
yeah.
upgrades and Blue Villainy not wowing me, Lama Su.
I ended up building Lamasu.
And
So
I want to hear your list when we get back to it. I just want to go through kind of because I have a list too, but I don't know. Yeah, there's got to be a play for Lama Su. I just don't see it. And also, I think Lama Su is a front running contender for the card you want to see least in limited
I would agree with
of this set. I can't think of a card you are less
that.
excited to see in limited. This is the card that is always the leader you get handed, and you're just like, okay, well, of the other two. I mean, sure, Blue Villainy is not going to have a lot of actually great, rare, tons of options, and maybe that's your ability to draft or whatever, but there are not actually that many attachment upgrades in the set.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of the plot upgrades, but those aren't
So
like
you
you're
can use
playing
that
them.
once, right? But that,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And then on the heroism side, Satine, I'm glad they're doing this. Is one of those things where it's like I respect that they're doing it. I'm
yeah,
glad they're doing it. I'm sure somebody's going to do something weird. I just don't want to
yeah.
build that deck.
No,
And
no, I
then
don't.
Leia, also a deck that I just that's a rough I made this claim really early in Spark previews, Ned, that I don't think you agreed with, but or maybe, and I think you have borne out that it did not happen as comprehensively and as swiftly as I thought it would, which was
Mhm.
that two aspect cards are always going to be better than one aspect cards, and I think that mostly holds true for duders who have an effect.
Yeah,
But then you have something like Cinta that she's the only one who does what she does, and so that's
yeah,
enough to make her runnable without,
yeah,
and same thing with events. But with Alea in Premiere, well, the ebb and flow of the card pool, right? Post rotation with only 4 sets, maybe you're a little hungrier for cards. But yeah, none of these like got me pumped. But the nature of the episode is we got to have a bit. So we've got to have blue leaders we want to talk about. So Ned, tell us about the deck that you built.
So this is Lamasu Force Red. And the idea here is that you are running all of the lightsabers. Basically, every single one of the lightsabers you are running, not completely,
A
but
lot.
mostly, a lot. And you are running them for two reasons. Number one, lightsabers are very efficiently priced in terms of the stat to cost ratio. And a lot of times they require like a force bearer, and if you've got a lot of force bearers, I mean I guess you're running a force base,
Right.
right? Like it's free value. Um,
Well, is it?
but
You have to spend the force to do. I mean, you have to be running a card that needs the force.
well, what you are running is on four. You are running Darth Tyrannus, Servant of Sidious, who is just like a
Yep.
very efficient card and
Yep.
holds a lightsaber well, and is a Sith, which matters for Darth Revan's lightsabers, which is honestly one of your most efficient tools.
Short.
And then you're also running Telsin's Assassin, which is another like very efficiently costed, holds a lightsaber, has the Force trait, um, 2 for 1. Other cards that came out of the set, Treyas Acolyte is nice in that it is a 2 cost, 2/4 Force Sith unit. So the 2/4 stat line is good, the Sith trait is good, the Force trait is good. The fact that it has no game text is not as good, but that's sometimes,
That being said,
yeah.
turn two, dropping the Revan onto it, it ends up being what, a 4/6 with 1 damage on it and grit.
So, yeah, yeah.
So you're swinging for
It's
5 on turn two,
and
and
you have two more
you still have
resources to
two
spend
two
up
two
six.
resources
Yeah,
open. Maybe give it a second lightsaber. So
yeah, yeah.
this
You
is
you
a
can go
wildly
pretty,
Johnny deck you have
yeah.
cooked.
Wilrow Hood is another card that,
The Ice Cream
um,
Man.
yeah, wears a lightsaber well. It obviously doesn't wear any of the lightsabers that require the Force trait, but there are a number of lightsabers that don't require the Force trait, and if you give it to Wilrow, he won't drop it.
Yeah,
So
incredibly
that
thematic card. So
yeah. So he turns off the Sheriff. He turns off a disabling Fang Fighter. A bunch of things that people would normally run to ruin your fun about throwing around lightsabers. And then you also get to play Lightsaber Throw and Flight of the Inquisitor, which are very efficiently costed cards if you have a bunch of Force units and lightsabers. And lo and behold, you happen to have a bunch of Force units and lightsabers. Lightsaber Throw, in fact, copies or synergizes with Lamasu's flip side, where you can lightsaber throw one of your many lightsabers, and then when Lamasu deploys and attacks, you then get to get the lightsaber back.
all right,
Uh,
honest question, Ned. What's the
yeah,
likelihood you actually build this thing as opposed to just making it so that you can be excited about a blue leader?
almost identically zero.
Okay.
I think basically very extremely close to
This,
zero.
this is
Um,
you saying if I have to be excited about a Secrets of Power blue leader, this is the way I would.
this is what I'm going to do. One last call out, and that is Darth Sion, Lord of Pain. It is a 5/5 for 5 with the Force and Sith traits. It has a when played ability that is going to be very difficult to enable. But sometimes you can get value from it. But the main thing is when defeated, if it has 7 or more power, return it to hand. If he's holding a lightsaber, he comes back, right? So you
Yeah,
can you can do all kinds of like fun value loop shenanigans with that.
that's a good top end to just keep recurring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, but I think this is what there is to be super excited about on the. And you know what, I'm super enthused to be proven wrong, and this is super subjective. I'm sure some of these
Sure.
decks are there's going to be leaders who are good.
Oh yeah,
especially
I'm
post
sure.
rotation. I'd be shocked if at least one Secrets of Power leader didn't do very well at some major event. I'm just not enthused. However,
About blue leaders.
about the blue leaders in Secrets of Power
Yes.
for me to play.
Yes.
There is one exception though. I think Leia is. I'm very excited to put her into a Twin Suns deck because her limitation becomes so much less limiting in Twin Suns.
Mm,
Where because the problem is you can't match the icons, but when you're running an entire deck of singletons, the with a third color, the likelihood that you're running something that doesn't have heroism, uh, doesn't and doesn't match. You have something in your hand that doesn't match is is very good.
yeah.
I think part of me wants to pair her with Chancellor Palpatine for the because you can't reveal a villainy card, but that makes it very easy to play villainy cards when you're Palp, and then they can have XP. But essentially, in Twin Suns, I think that she becomes much more of a pay one, give an XP token,
Yeah.
and I think her, I think her hurdle that you have to, the hoop that you have to clear is is almost non-existent in Twin Suns. I could be wrong, but I think
Right.
if you just have to pay attention when you're building your Twin Suns deck to make sure you're kind of representing all three of your colors equally, and then she just pairs with somebody who wants stuff to, get big, but
Yeah.
free XP. Any good Twin Suns deck is going to have one leader that is kind of gimmicky that you're really leaning into because you don't have to own it in a one-on-one game, and then one leader who just generates value. And I think Leia generates value. Speaking of Twin Suns, I want to talk briefly about this.
Ooh.
The Twin Suns box that Fantasy Flight sent over. Thank you, Fantasy Flight Games. With some products in here that I have actually some strong opinions about for Twin Suns and the forthcoming set, Legends of the Force. And so I want to talk a little bit about that because actually there's some stuff that I think is wild in here. And I'm really pro. There's so the thing I'm most excited about is your wife, Ned, has turned me on to the idea of if you do something a lot, it's worth it to spend a little money to make it pleasant.
Yes.
It turns out quality of life when you do something a lot is actually worth so much more than money. And so this is the Game Genic battle 4-player Twin Suns battle mat. I am playing enough Twin Suns. I was eyeballing this in Las Vegas. I almost spent points on this. This is something you can pay cash for, and I wanted this so badly. I almost spent prize wall tickets on it, which would not have been smart. If you play a lot of Twin Suns, though, this thing is sick. I love this thing. Something I don't love, but I actually learned something really amazing about. So, Game Genic. I want to say something nice first. Compliment sandwich.
Yes.
It came with the Twin Suns tokens. Game Genic, I just want to give a big credit. One, their tokens are awesome, and now that they're reliably in stock, they're the best in the market. Like I love my laser gaming tokens, but these are the best. And for a long time they weren't available, and for a long time they weren't double-sided, which was really, for me, being able to flip 1 to 3. That's a deal breaker. The fact that they're now double-sided, the fact that they listened, I think that's a huge credit. They were already the best in the business, and being available is nice, but being aware of how the product is used, being aware of how the community is responding to the product is amazing. So these are great. So I made a comment to somebody. So these are the box came with the Gamegenic damage pad, which I loathe. Well-designed product. I've played with them at a store. They cover up the number of hit points on the base. So if you don't know off the top of your hand, like the idea is clearly, the idea is that like the number can go up to like something like 50 or 60. It counts up to 49.
Sure.
So the idea is that you put it over the base health and it counts out. But this feels like designed by somebody who's used to numbers counting down. And as we all know, in Star Wars Unlimited, damage counts up. And as you know, and we have an increasing number of bases. It's not always easy to tell, you know, especially when people are, you know, you got people running now some of those Twilight of the Republic bases and weird Bail Organa decks that are running the droid manufactory and things like that have 20. Does that have 26? Does it have 27? You don't remember 24. How much. So
droid manufactory is 24. Ask me how I know.
Yes, because you run Rex. So like this covers up so you're counting up to some number. And this obscures that number. And as such, I think like the way it's manufactured is pretty solid. The quality, but I'm really pumped to own this. And I'll tell you why. Somebody was using this against me. So I keep, every time I decide I want to take this game a little bit seriously, I start to take notes because that's what competitive players are supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then I stop because it's like, that's another thing to do during the game and my brain doesn't work like that. You know, it's like any note taking. It's like you get excited and you buy a new notebook and then after 3 pages you stop. Same thing with keeping track of like other things that are happening in Star Wars Unlimited. But it is important to keep track of your opponent's base. And somebody slapped one of these down to keep track of my base's health. Like they're on their side of the board over to the left, and then it's just a nice little dial to keep up. And it's probably overpriced just purely for that, but this is absolutely now going in my core Star Wars Unlimited kit because it solves a problem, and I love it for that. Soft crate, I don't know. Like if you're listening to our show, soft crates are fine. Like, yay.
Yay.
They're a solid product. I wouldn't buy one because I buy the deck pods, and I love the deck pods. And I want to speak up. So the new Twin Suns deck pods, they're great. They're fine. They come with a card, and I got white. I'm very curious. Like the 4 bases that come with the colors are great. The white and black ones I've expressed. I own Twin Suns deck pods, but I didn't buy any because I didn't buy any in white or black because they come with an experience point and a shield token, and I don't need a premium like I don't need a card.
Yeah.
Much love to the people out there who are running card tokens. But here's where I'm going to tell you what this is amazing for, and why if you don't own one of these, you should buy one. And I'm not shilling. I just said I think this is a terrible product. I'm going to tell you why this is an amazing product. And this is an amazing product because we have Data Vault, and the regular Gamegenic boxes and a wide variety of boxes are suited for 50 card decks, and plus it may be a sideboard. If you're running Data Vault, that's a 70 card, and I run 70 cards double sleeved. I cannot put my deck in a normal box. So I now own a Twin Suns for Twin Suns, but I also own a Twin Suns just to ship whatever my current Data Vault deck is, because these things can actually, they're designed to go up to 80 cards, so they can hold a 70 card list just fine. Strong recommend if you run Data Vault. If you run Twin Suns, it's also great, but that was a use case that I actually stumbled across, and I love it. That's amazing. And then I got a wide variety of Jump to Lightspeed decks, because as we all know, Legends of the Force is about to break out, but they can't send out packs to the forthcoming Legends of the Force.
They might break Street Date.
They might break Street Date. So, thank you, Fantasy Flight. This box is filled with some really good stuff. Speaking of boxes filled with really good stuff, to bookend this episode, bam, the Taco Latte.
Oh my God, so good. So good.
So if you do not live in the greater Pacific Northwest or West Coast or wherever Salt and Straw is sold, sucks to be you. Your life is less And I feel for you because so. I have mixed feelings about this box, but I also have a lot of them in my freezer. So Salt and Straw, for those of you who don't know, is a Portland original ice cream store. It now has locations in Disneyland and Arizona, and there's one in New England, somewhere in like Massachusetts.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're I mean whatever, they're everywhere.
Oh, good for them. Yeah.
They're famous for things like dandelion and olive oil ice cream and bone marrow chocolate and bone marrow ice cream and everything. And
yeah,
yay them. This actually has very little to do with Star Wars Unlimited, so if you're done, just get out. But I have to just say, so when I was hyping people for sectors, I was saying go to Salt and Straw and people, and then look at all our amazing flavors and weird flavors, and people were like Gruyere ice cream, and it's like, well, not. I mean,
it's pronounced Gruyere. It's pronounced Gruyere.
Yeah, I don't eat stinky cheese. I don't eat stinky cheese. So. People are like, what? This is weird. This is gross. And I'm like, sure, but, we should be pro experimentation. But all is forgiven because they call it the taco. So this thing has a storied history. It was the Choco Taco at Taco Bell. I never had it at Taco Bell. And I want to point out, they partnered with Taco Bell to bring this back. But now it's called the Taco Lit. And I think it's because it's whatever. They should have just called it the Choco Taco, but it probably costs money to whatever. Who cares? But it literally comes with 2 Taco Bell sauce packets. I don't have any wild berry ones. I've been eating them. The mango jalapeno is not my jam.
Are you eating them straight, or are you at least putting them on something?
I'm putting them on the ice cream.
Oh, okay. All right.
I dip the ice cream in it, just like the picture shows. Yeah. I have to say, very good. And if you love I'm sad because they salt and strawed it. The cinnamon ice cream inside is unnecessary. It just needed to be.
It's got a good kick to it. It's good, but I agree with you. It is salt and straw, right? They took something that was perfectly fine and normal, and they added that extra layer of but we are salt and straw, right. So you gotta yeah.
So we have to put cinnamon ice cream in it. And I'm like, I don't want it to have a kick, and it's delicious cinnamon ice cream.
Yeah,
but I just want a vanilla. And also it's like. It's so I never had it at Taco Bell. Did you ever have it at Taco Bell, Ned?
I had it once at Taco Bell.
Well, I ate these things daily, which is why I have the physique that I do, when they were sold in 7-Eleven, Yeah. So they used to have puffed rice, like a Crunch Bar on the outside. Salt and Straw made it with quinoa. That's puffed quinoa. Why? Nobody knows. That one's innocuous, but the cinnamon ice cream, too much. But it's a Taco Bell thing, so it's on brand for this episode. It came up a lot at Sectors, so I'm bringing it up on our Star Wars Unlimited podcast. If you are in Portland and you missed out, the cinnamon ice cream is too much, but this is the ultimate ice cream form factor. This is the ideal way to eat ice cream is as a taco. Makes me so sad that I'm not going to get it again with vanilla, but I will eat it with cinnamon. I think that's our episode. Ned, do you have any final thoughts?
I do, and that is on the subject of blue cards in SEC. The thing is that all the cards in Secrets of Power, there are so many cool blue cards. They're just not leaders.
They're just not right. Yeah.
Newt Gunray, Cassian Andor, Redditor's Claim, Populist Advisor, Chuchi, Galen Urso. There's all of these amazing cards that just aren't leaders and don't synergize with the leaders.
Yeah.
So,
It's wild. I mean, and it'll be interesting to see post. Yeah, I went up against somebody running a disgusting Sam YSL deck that was really good. You said made it. I will tell you, the Darth Scion, when played, is a lot easier to hit than you might think. And especially because if you can get him to fire once, then it's a lot easier to get him to fire the second time because he's beaten on stuff. And the Secrets of Power is I'm very high on as a set, and I'm high on the leaders, and I'm high on blue. Oh my God, I didn't even get to talk about Crucible. I love Crucible. Just those leaders are fine.
Yeah.
So, anyways. Thank you, Fantasy Flight, for the amazing box. I genuinely appreciate it. And we will see you in a few weeks.
Adios.